Welcome, everyone. Congratulations on making a step in the right direction to learn more about your health and how you can heal. Today, we're going to be focusing on the leaky gut solution. First and foremost, I want to remind you that the information in this presentation is not intended to replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified medical professional and is not intended as medical advice. This presentation is simply a sharing of the knowledge and information from my research and experience and from the experts who contributed towards making this presentation. We encourage you to make your own healthcare decisions based on your research and in partnership with your qualified healthcare team. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I do what I do and why I'm so passionate about teaching people how to heal themselves. You see, I'm an integrative wellness specialist that is healing oriented, and I take into account the whole person, body, mind, heart, and spirit, including all aspects of lifestyle. I emphasize the therapeutic relationship, and I embrace the use of all appropriate therapies, both conventional and alternative. I teach savvy, strong, selfless people how to heal themselves, body, mind, heart, and soul, so that they can better serve the ones that they love from an empowered position of joy, health, and wealth. And the reason why this is so important to me is because I was actually born with something called Hirschsprung's disease, meaning that when I was born, about 3 days in, they had to actually remove the majority of my colon because it was diseased and not functioning. I lived the first year of my life as a baby with a colostomy bag. And then when I was 1 year old, they removed the colostomy bag and they reattached what was left of the colon to the rectum. In any case, that set me up for a lot of different issues, including what I now understand to be leaky gut. And that is why it is so important to me to share this information with you, because I received tremendous benefits in learning about this particular malady and how it can be improved. The gut or gastrointestinal system is truly a gateway to overall health. They always say that disease and by the flip side, health and wellness begins in the gut. The gut microbiome is an ecosystem of organisms, including bacteria, yeast, fungi, viruses, protozoan, throughout the digestive tract. Far beyond just digestive health, the following organ systems are also closely related to gut health: the immune system, the endocrine system, the nervous system, the circulatory system, the integumentary system, the respiratory system, and the reproductive system. A few key points to consider is, number one, there are 10 times the amount of bacteria in our body than our own human cells. And the majority of them are found within our digestive system. In fact, the gastrointestinal system contains 90% of the body's happy hormone, serotonin. And most importantly, approximately 70% of our immune system is in the gut. As you can tell, gut health does not stop at digestion. The health of our gut affects nearly every system in our body. So now, what is leaky gut? Leaky gut is a term that refers to intestinal hyperpermeability and has become an increasingly more common health problem seen today. Leaky gut causes major health problems, including autoimmunity. How, you may ask? Well, the intestinal hyperpermeability is exactly what it sounds like, meaning the digestive tract is no longer able to ensure good stays in and the bad stays out. Instead of the tight junctions or the proteins holding the intestinal wall together become loosened. This leaves sizable gaps for undigested food particles, digestive fluids, and toxins to enter into the bloodstream. The body reacts to these foreign particles in the blood by producing immune antibodies or pro-inflammatory cells to fight them off. This breeds a chronic inflammation system, and food allergies, food sensitivities, and various types of health complications. Of course, there are no signs of improvement until the gut's permeability is addressed. Fortunately, now we have a better understanding of the causes, the obstacles, and the treatment methods for leaky gut, so there is a stop to the cycle. Several factors have proved to negatively affect the gut's integrity. The most prominent include standard American diet, exposure to chemicals, chronic infections, gluten and other grains, food sensitivities, food allergies, excessive medications, and poorly managed stress. So let's break these down. The SAD diet. The standard American diet, rightfully known as the SAD diet, is one of the leading causes of chronic health issues that we see today. According to a 2009 study conducted by the USDA, 63% of the calories that Americans are consuming came from processed foods containing preservatives, refined grains, and added sugars and oils. It's almost as though the general public took it upon themselves to refigure the food pyramid to be consisting of grains at the bottom, dairy in the middle, and sugar on top. When in all honesty, none of these foods have any business being part of our diets at all. You can call it what you want: fraud, frankenfoods, food-like substances, fake food, but you most definitely cannot call most of our so-called food supply real food. When the majority of our diets are packaged meals with paragraph-long ingredient lists and labels that we can't understand and can't pronounce, we are not eating real food. A couple of alarming facts are the USDA and the FDA has approved approximately 3,000 different food additives, preservatives, and colorings without adequate research on safety. The average person ingests over 150 pounds of additives each year. Additives, not food, just additives. The magnitude that these chemicals are allowed into our lives is incomprehensible. We are becoming more and more aware of the consequences of this fake foods lifestyle, and it's simply unacceptable. This is only one factor in the leaky gut epidemic, but definitely a big one. Up next, we'll be discussing other factors responsible for the onset and progression of leaky gut. Now, a big issue is inflammation. Inflammation is the vital immune response and the body's attempt to defend itself against pathogens, heal from injury, and repair damaged tissue. Chronic inflammation, however, is not beneficial to our bodies in any way. In fact, it can worsen the body's ability to recognize foreign invaders and puts the body in a state of stress for extended periods of time. This causes lasting damage, increased food allergies, and eventually autoimmunity. This type of inflammation can be caused by a number of things, but largely seen as a result of leaky gut syndrome and poor dietary habits. If chronic inflammation goes untreated, leaky gut is worsened and the body ultimately loses its ability to repair from the damage. Now, gluten is the general term for a mix of proteins found in many grains such as wheat, barley, and rye. Gluten has found itself into much of our food supply, disguised in packaged foods and featured in most pre-prepared dishes. It is no surprise that our consumption of gluten has increased immensely and our health is suffering from it. Gluten allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances are becoming increasingly more common. Gluten-free, quote unquote, has become a buzzword within the health community, and people are finally beginning to explore how dangerous gluten can be for their health. Now, how dangerous is it, you may ask? Well, gluten makes the gut leaky, simply as that. Zonulin is a protein found in gluten, and it increases the permeability of the gut by further opening the spaces between the cells. The antibodies normally released as a result of leaky gut are accompanied by more antibodies created to attack one of the gluten's more prominent building blocks, which is gliadin. This leads to more inflammation, more body confusion, and more health complications. In other words, your body reacts to the consumption of gluten by creating a defensive mechanism to fight it. Once this damage has occurred within the digestive tract, it is then distributed throughout the entire body. Aside from contributing, if not entirely causing, leaky gut, gluten increases inflammation, overall digestive distress, and alters the balance of our microbiome. Our microbiome must be equipped with efficient, healthy bacteria in order to successfully carry out its necessary functions. Without the proper balance of bacteria, the following functions are disrupted: your digestion, your immune response, nutrient absorption, hormone regulation, vitamin production, detoxification, mood management, and many more things. Gluten produces both primary and secondary effects. The damage gluten causes that we have talked about thus far have been mostly the primary effects, such as intestinal permeability, otherwise known as leaky gut, permeability of the blood-brain barrier, the onset of autoimmune diseases such as celiac disease, Crohn's, and ulcerative colitis, the development of psychological disorders, dysbiosis or abnormal bacterial growth, acute allergic or IgE responses, and a delayed antibody response. While all of these issues are very serious within themselves, they too cause further complications. So next, we're going to talk about the secondary effects of gluten. The secondary effects of gluten exposure include things like severe nutrient deficiencies, such as iron and vitamin B12, systemic inflammation leading to organ and tissue breakdown. Now, it may seem a bit redundant that we keep on coming back to how your body acts on gluten, but it is one of the most important pieces of information that you can take from the class. Gluten is a major component of the leaky gut cycle. It is present in its onset, in its maintenance, and the progression of this damaging condition, and should not be taken lightly. As you can probably guess, gluten's path to disease is pretty direct. The first step is when gluten's contribution goes unnoticed. At this point, it is likely that there is too little to no known symptoms. This is where most people will assume that gluten won't hurt them and therefore can eat it with no problem. Unfortunately, the lack of apparent symptoms does not mean that gluten doesn't hurt your gut. In fact, it takes exposure over time and the accumulation of damage before the leaky gut will even be noticeable. For those cutting out gluten before they feel any physical discomfort, they are still treating an underlying issue, even if they can't quite feel it yet. The next step is the progression of subclinical problems. This is where leaky gut truly begins to develop. Often, the first thing that will get noticed is increased food and environmental allergies. Digestive distress can begin to become more frequent. Unfortunately, it is common for people to still avoid blaming gluten for their discomfort. The last step is recognizing the problem. However, it is not usually recognizing gluten as a problem, but acknowledging that the problem that gluten has caused. For example, if someone is diagnosed with a chronic disease or develops an inflammatory change, most medical doctors will begin treating those conditions rather than examining the origin. It's a shame that this happens so often, as if gluten was recognized as the main problem in the early stages, then a lot of these health issues could be avoided entirely. Gluten, however, is not the only concern when it comes to solving the leaky gut. We will go over some more issues that contribute to this dangerous syndrome in a moment. So now, much like the additives and preservatives flooding our food supplies, pesticides are a big part of what's on our plates. There are 3 million tons of pesticides used worldwide each year, and more than 16,000 chemicals involved in the production of these pesticides. Studies ensure their safety on humans have been very limited, whereas some have no documented research at all. While we are not entirely sure of their safety on human health, we do recognize strong links between pesticide exposure and nervous system disorders, immune system suppression, reproductive damage, hormonal imbalances, thyroid issues, type 2 diabetes, obesity, asthma, migraine headaches, attention disorders, and developmental delays in children. The magnitude that pesticides, along with steroids, hormones, antibiotics, and exotoxins show up in our food supplies is truly frightening. And to think it isn't a main component of our leaky gut trend is simply impossible. So medications is severely overprescribed in our current medical model used today. Medical programs train doctors to medicate symptoms even when they're unsure of the cause. This, in short term, has seemed to work because the patients experience temporary relief from the symptoms and the discomfort. But what isn't taking into account is how these excessive prescriptions have affected our bodies. For example, statin drugs used to lower cholesterol have been shown to lower vitamin D and CoQ10 levels. While it may be lowering cholesterol, it is simultaneously causing nutrient deficiencies, muscle fatigue, increased blood pressure, and weakened immunity. Painkillers like ibuprofen and aspirin contribute to vitamin C and iron deficiencies, leaving one vulnerable to disease and eroding mucosal lining of the stomach. Acid reduction medications hinder the digestion of protein, calcium, and vitamin B12, often causing chronic pain problems. Long-term use of antidepressants, too, significantly impacts the gut motility and causes digestive issues. Lastly, it is important to note that almost all medications are unable to differentiate between the good bacteria in our gut and the illness that it is trying to attack. That results in an altered microbiome and much greater risk of infection. As you can tell, drugs offer a lot of unintended consequences that can affect our health very badly. There are very few situations where drugs should be your solution, such as life-threatening infection or surgical situation. Without the immediate emergency needs of medication, it is best to treat the issue to get to the root causes than to temporarily patch the problems. Our gut has 5 critical elements or defenses that is truly needs for gut healthy functioning. In order from the outermost layer of defense, they include things like the mucosal IgA, otherwise known as immunoglobulin A. This is an antibody found in the mucosal membrane, and it is considered to be your gut's first line of defense against toxins. Next comes the tight junctions. These are the small proteins that are responsible for holding the gut cells together. This is what is most directly affected by leaky gut syndrome. Then comes the gastro-associated lymphatic tissue, otherwise known as GALT. This is the gut's concentrated immune system. And in fact, 70% of our immune system altogether. This is the gut's last and most powerful layer of defense. The gut's accessory defenses include things like friendly bacteria. As we mentioned, we do have more bacteria in our body than we have actual human cells. The bacteria can communicate with the GALT, the warning of potential danger. And stomach acid. This is absolutely essential for the digestion, absorption of nutrients, and defense against infections. If there is any dysfunction throughout your gut's line of defenses, these 5 primary barriers need to be evaluated in order to heal and be treated properly. The first step of healing is ruling out the fundamental causes of the leaky gut. It is important to recognize that it is very rarely only one cause, but usually a combination of several different factors causing the damage. You must first rule out or begin to recognize the following. Number one, vitamin deficiencies by using functional nutrition testing, such as the OAT test. Infectious pathogens by blood and GI tract tests. I usually love doing a stool test, a comprehensive stool test to determine if there are pathogens that need to be addressed. Next, heavy metal toxicity, and that can be done by a challenge, a urine challenge, or by a hair analysis. Gluten sensitivity testing, that can be done. And last but not least, environmental allergies via the skin or blood tests. If any of these come back positive, you have to first look at addressing these deficiencies, implement dietary changes, limit exposure to the allergens, and consider detoxification methods. Once you've had a better understanding of your body's unique needs, then you can begin a formal function medicine protocol, which we refer to as the 4Rs. So the 4R program is administered to help you heal from digestive distress, reverse gut complications, rebalance your gastrointestinal microbiome, and it is an incredible tool to acknowledge and treat health issues, dysfunctions, imbalances, and personal health needs. This is done in the following order. Number one, remove. Remove problem foods and toxins and low-grade infections and oxidative stress. Secondly, repair. Begin to reintroduce a clean diet with essential nutrients that your body needs. Next, restore. Repopulate your gut with the healthy bacteria to restore the proper balance of gut flora. And replace. Replace the digestive enzymes, the antioxidants, and immune-boosting vitamins to promote sustainable and healthy digestion. And actually, this 4R protocol has been updated to a 5R protocol. And the 5th R is rejuvenate. And that is to help a person to reestablish what we call resilience in terms of how you deal with the various habits that will deteriorate the health of your microbiome and your gut, including how you deal with stress. If you do not boost your resilience, if you do not rejuvenate and restore good habits, all of the other 4Rs will more than likely be destabilized in a matter of months, once again. At this point, you may have already removed the things that you knew were detrimental to your health, such as gluten and known allergies, but you'll also want to remove much of the chemical burden in your life. This includes things like pesticides on foods, GMOs, genetically modified organisms, unnecessary medications, and unnatural house cleaners. Once you have an understanding of what should be removed from your daily life, you have begun to implement those changes. It is time to repair damage that has been done. This can be done by calming the chronic inflammation, reintroducing nutritious foods, digestive enzymes, probiotics, essential fibers, minerals, vitamins, and healthy amino acids, and various different nutraceuticals that can be used to actually heal the mucosal layer and heal the gut. For some people, these steps may mean implementing intermittent fasting, supplementation, personalized diet plans that cater to your specific health needs. Everyone is different. Nutrients must be replaced for effective healing. While everyone's needs are highly individualized, here are some common supplements that have proven to be helpful in the gut healing process. Probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, fiber, collagen, turmeric, L-glutamine, quercetin. These are only suggestions. We are unable to make any specific recommendations for these supplements to you without a comprehensive testing and evaluation. However, the main takeaway from this is that you should not rely solely on supplements. You have to also look at various aspects of your lifestyle, like I said, stress management and the various foods that you're eating, your lifestyle choices, because these are the things that will help you to sustain wellness with whole foods and healthy lifestyle choices for a long-term and a sustainable manner without the need for piles and piles of pills on an ongoing basis. And also, it is important to realize that simply eliminating foods that are being triggered that cause food sensitivities, or what people will commonly refer to as food allergies, that is just a beginning step that is necessary for you to start the healing process, but you cannot stay in that zone. I mean, I've known people wherein they're reduced to eating practically cardboard because they become sensitive to everything. And they think that it is the food that is the problem. The food is not the problem. The problem is this leaky gut that is creating an opening for you to develop more food sensitivities when you eliminate the foods that you previously thought were triggers. So remember, it's important to not deal with the symptoms, but rather to get down and address the root causes. The most difficult part of health is maintaining it. Even if you build a strong foundation through the healing process, without the proper diet, lifestyle choices, stress management, long-term, you can fall right back into the same gut-destroying patterns. Remember, health is a journey, not a destination. Although there's plenty of research on the dangers of leaky gut, it is still considered a medical mystery, as many cases go misdiagnosed and in turn not properly treated. It is crucial to work with someone who is familiar with this condition and will perform the appropriate tests in order for you to effectively heal and to efficiently address the root causes of the matter. Always start with the fundamentals. Honor your body's unique needs and skip the guesswork. One of our mottos here at Sankofa is lab tests, not best guess. So in any case, thank you for taking the time to experience this workshop with us. I enjoy sharing this topic with people who are eager to transform their health, and this group was fantastic. If you have any further questions, please post them, email me, and I'll be more than happy to address your concerns. Remember, I am always here to support you.